All right then.
What's up, buddy? I guess so much for the intro.
I was like,
Usually there's a
there
little
it
bit more
is.
a music intro going on.
Alrighty, there it is.
There it is. We just switched over. We had one streaming platform, and then we just switched over to a better one because the last one was very faulty. And
Yes.
so I guess this one doesn't have the same grandiose. So this.
Well, no,
Streaming video.
it does, but I don't know. I'll have to find out what was going on because so that countdown video that we normally do, it has, it counts down and then it goes into our intro, and then from there I cue up the music on the soundboard.
Yeah.
And then that's this music. And then we start doing the show. But right at the end on the countdown, it had like it froze for some reason. And I was like, I'm looking at the screen. I was like, I don't know. And then all of a sudden, boop, there's Chris, there's me. And I'm like, well, all right, here we are. Oh, man. I'm telling you, one of these days, we are going to get this figured out.
There's only 25 episodes in. Like, there's a lot of people with a lot more experience under their belt than we do, but we're getting there. It's I have good hopes for this streaming service. So.
One of these days.
But yeah. So, buddy, how you been?
I'm good, man. So, well, first, welcome to Whiskey with an Agent. This is episode 25. My name is Jared,
and I'm Chris.
And tonight we're gonna be talking about. So let's say you closed on a house and you just got done signing all the paperwork and you're like, crap, I own a house now. What do I do? So we're going to talk about a lot of the things that need to be done, that should be done, and some things that really need to be done after you close on your house, because, man, there's a whole checklist item, long laundry list of things that you should do. And we're going to talk about most of them tonight. Some of them are pretty easy. Some of them take a little bit of effort. Yep. And I know some people that still to this day, they've bought their house several years ago and they still have not done some of these
basic
things.
Items.
Yes.
Yeah. Such as locking or changing the locks of your door.
Yes. Which is a safety hazard. So,
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, man, I'm good. I'm getting geared up for Thanksgiving next week.
Yeah.
You guys do anything?
Just plow down. Yeah, so we're going to be going down to on the west side of Florida to Tampa, Bradenton area, and we're going to be having Thanksgiving with Bethany's parents. Bethany's father, and then his girlfriend's family, and then her grandparents, Bethany's grandparents, and we're gonna and her brother. So it'll be a great gathering. My mother is going to be there because my dad's going to be working. So it's going to be a good get together. We'll be down there for from I think maybe Wednesday night to into the weekend is how long we're going to be down there for. It'll be a great time. You going anywhere? Or you staying put?
No, we're gonna do it local. We're gonna have the family over to the house and we're gonna do a little bit different this year. Instead of doing a turkey, well, we might have like a little bit of turkey, but we're actually gonna do a brisket. So I'm gonna smoke a brisket.
Oh, you got a smoker?
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh, dude, that's what's up.
Yeah. So
all right. So Thanksgiving at Jared's house.
Yeah, man. There may not be any brisket left over. I can't guarantee. But those things. Have you ever done a brisket before?
No, not in person. Not myself. No.
Yeah.
I usually go to restaurants for briskets because they have the experience and the patience to do a brisket for hours upon hours.
I tell you what, man, it takes a while to do it, and the briskets are very expensive, so it's a really hard and expensive lesson to learn when you screw it up.
Yeah, because you're there just doing it for hours upon hours, and if you like get one thing wrong, like in the seasoning wise or overcook or undercook, it's just like, damn, just spent all that money on that brisket. And you're right, it's a very expensive learning curve.
It is.
Very expensive learning curve.
But they take it takes a while to do. I've done it a couple of times before. Seasoning wise, it's pretty easy. Most briskets, you just throw some salt and pepper. You don't have to do like that whole rub like you would do for like a pork butt. And then you throw it on the smoker, and man, depending on the size of it, I've the last time I did one, I think I smoked it for about 15, 16 hours with
Golly.
on the smoker. So yeah, I usually wake up, depending on what time we're gonna eat, I'll usually have it on the smoker by, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then just kind of get it set up, let it
You
go.
golly,
I'll wake
you
up.
stay up that late, or do you just, like, set your alarm and just wake
It
up?
depends. It depends. Sometimes I'll stay up that late if, so then I'll just throw it on and go to bed. But a lot of times I'm already in bed and then I'll just set an alarm. I'll wake up. I'll have everything ready to go. The smoker's ready to go. So all I got to do is I cheat a little bit. It's an electric smoker. So I don't have to get the coals going and all that stuff. I just plug it in and get it going and then throw the wood chips on there. The meat, whatever, it'll be ready. I just throw it on there and then I'll go basically take a nap for another few hours. I'll wake up again, I'll go check on it and then, go back to bed and
Oh,
then wake
man.
up, a few hours later, check on it. And it's quite the process. And but
I wish I took a 3-hour nap.
I really don't
Does
know.
everybody else hear that?
I don't know. Well, I mean, this is a 3-hour nap from like 2 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the morning to wake
Yeah.
up and go check on it again.
Gilligan's Island should have been a 3-hour tour, you know that,
It should
right?
have been. Should have. Turned out it was a little bit longer.
Yeah, just a little bit longer. So what are you drinking, brother? We gotta get on.
Oh man, let's do it. Well, tell you what, off of my handy dandy shelf back there. So I bought this. I got this one last week when we did the show at uh, Legacy Liquors. That's what it was.
Yes.
Out at Legacy Liquors, he had this was like his special one for the week or for the month, but it's the Buffalo Trace.
Yeah, that's his select. So he actually went in and select the barrels for that
Yep.
one.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mo, I saw him tonight and he thought it was a great show and he definitely invited us over some more.
Nice.
So
Nice.
so long as we get our audio better.
Yeah, that was my fault, and I still have to post the audio only for it. I haven't done that yet, but whenever I get it posted, just if you listen to it, just know that I screwed up and I selected the wrong microphone. I didn't select our good microphones, and it was pulling off of either my laptop or the little webcam or
it's all right.
or something.
Lesson learned.
You can still hear it. It's just it's not as good as it normally is.
It happens. It happens. But you have yourself a great bourbon there, sir. Buffalo Trace.
Yes.
One of my clients showing houses with today, that's one of his go-to right there. Blanton's and then Buffalo Trace. So he'll definitely be saluting you on your choice of liquor there, sir.
Nice.
But so I was at Legacy Liquor today, and I was just kind of going through some of the select. I didn't get a chance to go there earlier this week to kind of do what I normally do, essentially do a little pick, let the customers, let the audience pick, like of the three choices. And so I pretty much went out there knowing kind of like an idea of what I wanted. But Mo definitely emphasized on the Glenfiddich here.
Oh yeah,
12-year sherry cask.
Yep.
This is a special edition sherry cask. And I'm really looking forward to this because I love the Macallan sherry cask, 12-year sherry cask. So if this is anything like it, I'll definitely be doing that. I'll definitely be enjoying this as well.
Nice.
So, allow me. Okay, we got to do our signature sound.
Like it. Like it.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
But
so, my friend, raise your glass. Yeah. Everyone else that's watching, please let us know what you're drinking. Yeah. Toast to everyone, and then also for everyone that fared through the storm for Hurricane Nicole. That was a breeze.
Yeah,
literally. I don't know about you, but I was literally driving that day on Thursday.
Oh, were you?
All the way down to Winter Haven and Lake Wales. But
oh wow! All right.
Cheers.
Well, cheers to that. All right, so let's talk about some. Is it that good?
Yeah, it was really good. I probably should have had some before the ice cube, but I just love what a little bit of water and ice cube does to open the flavor profile.
It does. It does. I had a friend of mine over to the house the other day, and I was showing her that trick that we were tasting some of the different whiskeys. Here, I'm gonna go solo real quick. You can see I've got several up here on my shelf. and we were going through the tasting, and I had her taste it, and she was like, "Yeah, it's got quite a bit of bite to it." And then I was like, "All right, let's, we just did, normally you just throw like a little drop of water or something, you swirl it around, you
Mhm.
can start tasting the difference. We just threw an ice cube, just like
Yeah.
one little ice cube in there, swirl
Yeah.
it around a little bit, and she was so amazed. It's like, oh my goodness, like it completely changes the flavor profile. It makes it some cases it makes it more smooth
Mhm.
going down, and it's just it's nice.
I have to agree. There's
Yeah.
something about it that just, like you said, open up the flavor profile, and especially if you like a good cold drink too, it just makes it just go down so much better. Me, I like to retain it in the mouth
Yep.
and just really get some flavor. Like let
Yeah.
it swish over
Yeah.
the tongue over
Yeah.
instead of just taking it straight back. And it's just this is really good. I'm gonna have to get the sherry cast and just pit them side by side each other and see how it goes.
Yeah.
See which one I like a little bit more.
You know,
But
real quick, somebody commented about not having time to stop, and Monica commented on that.
there's always
Do
time
you
on it.
do you keep like a hidden bottle somewhere, just like in case you run out of everything that might be on your
In case of
shelf, or
emergency.
like a break in case of emergency kind of thing? Do you keep something somewhere?
Eh, Monica, out of all the miles that you drove today, I'm pretty sure you passed at least 3 liquor stores. So I don't want to hear it. Just teasing.
Yeah.
So after the close, let's kind of dive into this here. Do we want to talk about sellers or buyers?
Well, we can start off with talking about what sellers should do, and then kind of work our way into buyers. A lot of this stuff kind of goes hand in hand. I mean, some of it does, some of it is specific to sellers and buyers. But let's talk about a couple of things that the sellers have to do.
Okay.
Let's say you just signed the paperwork, and then you're driving, I mean, to your new house, or you're driving to your rental house or whatever. I mean, you still got some things that you should be doing after.
Yeah.
So uh basically, let's see, just looking at my notes here. So, well, you should have done this before you closed, but just making sure the house that you just sold wasn't trashed, that you got it cleaned out, that you did everything per what the contract, what you agreed to do prior to selling it. So it should be clean, it should be, presentable
Mhm.
to
As
a certain,
well as all personal items too. Like if you're not
right.
done cleaning out the house, like of personal items, you need to make that very aware between the agents, between your agent, the buyer's agent, and the buyer themselves. Because once you sign the paperwork and the buyers have signed the paperwork, that's their property.
Yeah.
Everything on that property is essentially theirs at that point. And then, of course, you can get into like the whole semantics of like legal issues and everything like that. But in very simple terms, to avoid is communicate. If you need more time, if you need an extra day, put it in writing. Buyers agree to allow the seller to clean remaining items of the property. Um,
Yes.
the property has to be in the same condition, just like Jared said, as accordance to the contract. So, if the buyers walked in and your house was staged and it was beautiful, it was immaculate, and then when you leave and now there's dirt, there's dust everywhere, which happens if there's like for instance, like under the furniture, there's usually always little stuff, little toys or crumbs and stuff like that. Well, like we got to clean that stuff out. And probably one of the simplest things to do, if you don't have time for that or want to do that, put it part of the contract that you'll hire a professional cleaner to come and clean behind you after you move as a gift and a courtesy to the buyers,
Right.
making your life so much easier.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Make sure also one thing is that you have all the keys, the garage door openers, and
Yes.
other devices. So if you have like a ring that you're leaving, like a ring door alarm and everything like that, make sure you leave all that stuff out for them. If there's key fobs, like you're in a gated community, like and for entryways and stuff like that, make sure you gather those for the time of closing. Some sellers are really good. They'll put it in a Ziploc bag and they'll throw it into a kitchen drawer. And
Yeah.
and they make it very easily for the buyers to get to that because if you don't, then you're not leaving a good taste in a sense. You may
Yeah.
not have to care, but at the same time, like, it's also just kind of courteous. That
Right.
way, like, the buyers are having a very easy experience, like purchasing a home that they love instead of putting them like into a bad taste.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. That's one of the things that it's very easy to forget about, like transferring the keys or giving the keys to
Mm-hmm.
somebody. It's just it slips our mind because we're so busy. Sellers are so busy, and they're trying to pack, they're trying to move into a new house or find a
Mm-hmm.
rental house or whatever the case is. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very easy to forget about that stuff. And things like garage door openers, if you have them, yes. If you don't have one, then I mean, you don't have one. You can go pick one up at, the buyer, the new owner can pick one up at Home Depot. I
Mm-hmm.
think they're like $30, $35, or maybe that could be a gift from your real estate agent.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Too many times where I've just gone to closing and like the seller is just not prepared, and like next
yeah.
thing you know, like it's after the close and we still don't have a key. It's just like, or everything else that we had to agree to, because it's in
Hmm.
the contract that you're supposed to supply these items to the buyer
Correct.
at the time of closing because they're necessary items.
Correct.
um, and like, as a buyer, you should be, say thank you for the keys and go changing the locks anyways. But like, that's we'll
Yeah.
get into that later. But for sellers, and then if there's any warranties, appliance booklets, locks, all those things you should be able to have on hand
Right.
and get ready,
Yep.
prior to the closing, and giving it
Yep.
to your agents, giving it to the title company, to hold on to and pass along, or just like I said, leave it in a drawer.
Yep.
Leave it in a drawer in the kitchen for
Yep.
them to find.
Um, so one of the next things, if I would suggest, make a checklist of things, or have your agent, give you a checklist of things to do after closing for, if you're a seller, if you're a buyer.
Mm-hmm.
I have a little checklist that I use to kind of go through and make sure we cover these things. But one of the other things that is sometimes gets missed in, the whole process is changing your utilities or can't. So this one kind of applies to both sellers and buyers. So as a
Yeah.
seller, you definitely want to make sure that you call the power company, you call the water company, you call
Your
whatever,
insurance.
insurance, yeah, all these different, subscription stuff or whatever, and you call them. It's like, hey, I don't own this house anymore. A lot of times, like power companies, sometimes you can just transfer your account to the new address, and then that
Mm-hmm.
one's, taken care of. Same thing for the buyers, whatever place you're leaving, you now have to do that. You have to transfer to the new house. um,
Yeah.
but yeah, just and it can be tedious sometimes depending on what county you live in, and then how they do their power and how they do their utilities, and what city or municipality you live in, or whether you're county or however it's set up. Sometimes you have to go into an actual office. I think most places you can do it online, but there's still a couple of little cities that you actually have to go into the office and change it in front of them just because they
Yeah.
don't have the setup to do it online,
Yep.
which it's kind of annoying, but
Yeah,
it's got to
it's
be
true.
done.
It is a little bit of annoying because when Bethany and I we moved into this house, we actually had to go in person to the city of Longwood to turn on our utilities, like our water and stuff like
Ugh,
that. We had to go
yeah,
in person. We had to provide the settlement statement and everything.
yeah,
Um, and but that's kind of getting into the buyer stuff. I want to stay like on topic with the sellers. But one of the biggest things that a lot of sellers forget to cancel is their insurance, their home insurance. You have to
hmm
you need to cancel that because you have money in your escrow that you would want back.
yeah,
So, and they'll prorate it and you'll get a check back once you close, and you want that. Um, and then another thing too is that you can still write off the interest that you paid on your on your mortgage.
yes,
So when you, even though you don't own the home anymore, if you owned it for say you close today, well, you have a near year's worth of interest that
yeah,
you can write off in your taxes. So
yeah,
that's another thing that you want to get with your CPA, your accountant, or or TurboTax, whoever you use, to make sure that handle your settlement statement, you do your bills and everything, and then
Yep.
that you just write that off.
Yep.
So your insurance, and then making sure you're still writing off your interest on your home loan
Yep.
on
And
that.
then, so talking about like home loans and stuff. So when you're closing on the house, and I don't know if you did this, Chris, when you bought your house. I definitely did when I bought mine. Is because I was when I was, or I'm sorry, when I was selling a house, is the person buying it, you're getting a bunch of money transferred, and then some of that money is going to go to pay off any mortgage you have or anything like that. So one of the things that I highly, highly suggest is to um, make sure that you actually talk to your lender, or go back and check that account, log in online, make sure that it was actually paid off. It's showing that it's at a zero balance, because the
Mhm.
last thing you want is that money went to the wrong place, and the next thing you know, you're getting a statement that says, hey, you haven't paid your mortgage in 30 days or 60 days or whatever. So I mean, it's one of those things. It's real easy to do. It could be just a quick phone call, or just log into your account and
Mhm.
actually just look to make sure that it was paid off, because people do make mistakes. It does happen where the money either didn't get transferred properly, or maybe they didn't transfer the right amount. They got the wrong uh, um, payoff amount or something. Like, I mean, who knows, something could go wrong. The last thing you want is for that to be
Coming
hovering
back
over
there.
you, coming back to you when you're trying to, let's say you just sold your house, and then you're trying to buy a new house, and you've still got this open mortgage with a balance for some reason. So it's
Um,
always a good idea to
yeah.
go back and check on those things just to make
Mhm.
sure.
And you have something here too, which is really important, is that like you need to notify everyone of your address change.
Oh yeah.
So like you said earlier, the post office, that's a big one. That way they
Uh,
know to forward the all mail to the next address that you're residing at, or that you need or want.
yes.
And then there's also subscription services.
Hmm.
That's anything and everything. We live in a subscription world, and if
Yes.
your debit or credit card
Oh my
is
goodness.
used for that, then you need to update all of that stuff.
Yes.
All of that stuff. So
Yeah,
I don't know about you, but I have a tally for all of my subscriptions.
I do. Yeah.
And so like when we moved here, we actually went through all of our stuff and
Yep.
checklist of all of our subscriptions, because once
Exactly.
we notified our bank of the change, we need to
Right.
go in to all
Yep.
of the subscriptions. And you know what sucks is that when you're a business owner, you have to do it twice
Yes.
for
Yep.
your personal and then
And
for
then
your
for the
business.
yep.
And it's just like,
Exactly.
oh my God, it's very time consuming, but it's very important. That way, even doctor's offices, uh,
Yeah.
medical, and then institutions, all of
Yep.
that stuff, they need to be aware that you're a change.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah,
and that way they're not sending the wrong stuff. Like, you'd be surprised that if you don't notify like the social security department too, they're gonna, and if there's a letter that's going to them, then that's going to you, then it's going to go to the old address, because that's what they have on file.
right.
The DMV, obviously, you have a lot of people forget this, that you have 90 days to change the address on your license. So that's huge as a seller. You need to make sure you change
Yeah.
the ID. And like the things that we're kind of talking about, it's definitely for buyers and sellers. Like regarding changing and subscription services, bank accounts, post office, doctor's offices, and everything else. It's extremely important that you notate that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's not enough just to go to the post office and tell,
not
fill out one of the change of address, because they will forward the mail most of the time. There's still been a lot of time, or a couple of times, where I've forwarded mail to my new address, and then I still get mail
yeah.
going to the old one. So it's not a
It's It's true. Like
yeah.
literally about 2 weeks ago, the old sellers had prescription glasses
Oh,
mailed to
really?
the door. And
Oh my
so I had
god.
to reach out to the agent, and I was just like, "Hey Dan, um, Kathleen's glasses just showed up
Right.
on my doorstep. I
Oops.
can't return to sender on this one. So
Right, right. Yeah, yeah.
have her come and pick them up." And
Yep.
like, so like, it's you gotta make sure you take care of that, or something that's not supposed to go to the old address is going there.
Yeah.
So even Amazon, come on, if
Yeah.
you love Amazon, you gotta change
I
to that.
know. Yeah, change them. You got to
Yeah,
change them.
yeah.
So
So
that's like that's probably the one that for me it seemed like it took the most amount of time because it's just so tedious logging in to
mhm.
each and every website, subscription, credit card, whatever, and changing and updating the address and just it was such a pain in the butt. But like Chris said, doing a checklist, just keeping a running tally of, I mean, I've got a list
I got an Excel
of
spreadsheet.
yeah, a list of things that just tell me, what contains my address, and then if I ever have to change it, I just go to that list and then I just start going down the line. I even take it a step further and I put, I just have a direct link and it just takes me right there. I don't even have to
That's
think
actually
about,
pretty smart. A little direct link.
yeah. I mean,
That's pretty
it's,
neat.
because some of the times, some of the stuff you don't access or you don't go to them all the time. So you're like, oh, is it this website or, just, and then it's just right there. You just click on it. And it just takes you right there.
That's actually
But
pretty,
yeah,
pretty
that's,
cool.
yeah.
But yeah, I have an Excel spreadsheet is very helpful. I think
Yep.
that I have like ones for like my passwords, logins, and then like for my business expenses, my personal expenses, and all
Yep.
those institutions, my car
Right.
loan, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
I have all of that stuff. So like it's literally just kind of
Yeah.
dedicated the time, pour yourself a drink, put on
Yep.
some loud
Yep.
music, and then just go to town. Close the door, close it, like turn the phone off, or flip the phone over, put it on silent, and just go to work. You'll be done
Yep.
inside of an hour.
And I can guarantee as soon as you think you have them all done,
Something's gonna creep up.
you're gonna be laying in bed at night and you're gonna be like, dang it, there's one more. I forgot it. I
Yep.
guarantee it. I guarantee I did that at least 3 or 4. Even when I got that one more, I'm the next night or a week later, I'm like, wait a second. Oh, there's another one. Or I'm
Yep.
like, hey, I haven't seen, but here's the thing though. If you don't change your address and it's tied, if it's linked to your credit card or whatever, if you haven't updated, the people that are collecting money from you, they'll let you know. They'll send you an
They'll be
email. It's like,
happy to
hey,
let
we
you
haven't
know.
gotten a payment this month, or whatever. So they'll let you know. So I mean, if you want to do it that way, you can, and just whenever you get the notice. But be aware of that because sometimes those subscriptions, if you don't pay it, then they just cancel it until you pay it. So it
Yeah.
might be something that's important or whatever. But I mean, don't do that with like a car loan or something. I mean, make sure that's that stuff is getting paid and whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's always going to be those little extra ones that you think you got them all, but then when you remember it, go right to your Excel spreadsheet or your checklist and then just add it in there. So when the next time, because look, here's the thing. There's going to be for most of us, there's going to be a next time. We're going to sell a house again. We're going to buy a new house again at some point.
Mhm.
And to have an Excel spreadsheet or a checklist just in your computer somewhere labeled, address checklist or whatever that you forget about for 10 years. And all of a sudden you come back to it and you're like, oh, thank God I have this because, oh, it's going to save me so much time because I don't have a
Yeah.
clue what, I have now. So yeah, just
Sure.
keep a running checklist because it's gonna happen again where you're gonna buy most of us, not everybody. Some of us are settled in where we're gonna be, and we're
It's
not
still
gonna
good to
sell.
have, and
But
like you should be doing like a financial like check every single.
well, yeah,
I
yeah,
do it. I do it. Every I say every week or once a week or once every other week. I'll actually do a financial analysis of
yeah,
everything that we have and just making sure like is this being used or is this not being used? Do I really need to continue spending $8 a month on this shit or not?
yeah,
Whether it be business related or if it's personal related. And
yeah,
then Bethany, we have financial meetings. I say like every other week at this point, and we just kind of do our thing. So, um, let's see here, going transitioning towards like the buyers.
yeah.
The first and foremost, the biggest thing is the keys. I got buyers that still haven't changed the locks,
Oh
and
my,
it's been like 2 years, and just like you're not afraid of someone just walking in here, and they're
right?
like, "Ah, yeah, I never thought about it." And I was just like, "It takes 2 seconds."
What do you
You
mean you
just
never
go to Home
thought about
Depot.
it?
That's 1 second. The second is just replacing the locks.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it doesn't take that long. I mean,
Nah, it's the first thing we did. Yeah.
yeah,
And if you're what's really cool is that if your door lock has a code,
yep,
which ours does, well, we actually it's a quick YouTube search on how to redo the code, like depending on what program that you have, and we changed the code, and then we changed the garage code. All that is changeable. Like, we live in a very digital world to where you can find out how to change these codes, even if you don't have like the manuals anymore. And so like, and then we changed the locks obviously for all the exterior doors. So it's like, it's really beneficial, and probably the number one most important thing that a buyer should do when moving into a property is to change the locks. Like,
nice.
don't just sit on it and wait until like I'll wait until another time. Like, next thing you know, it's going to be like 2 years later and you still haven't changed the locks. um I'd be very interested to hear how long it took for some people watching when they changed their lock. So,
Yeah,
um, and then another thing too is just kind of reiterating exactly what we talked about for the seller side is transferring utilities. You know,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you gotta have that water, gotta have that electric, and if you're closing on a Friday, you want to try to set up as much of that stuff
Oh
prior,
yeah,
because
yes.
you
Well,
may not have power on able to have someone come out during the weekend for power, like what
right.
happened to us.
Yeah, which and that's one of the reasons. So I I don't like to close. I don't like to close houses on Fridays and Mondays. I don't like to do because there's too many things that can happen, and if it happens on a Friday with the bank or whatever, you can't do anything till Monday. So if your buyer or whatever the situation is, if we're supposed to close on Friday and we can't do it, now my seller doesn't get paid. They can't do what they need to do, or the buyer who's moving in, they can't move in, so now they've got to find a place, for the weekend or whatever. There's too many things that can happen on a Friday. Same thing with on a Monday. You're coming off of a weekend. If something happens, you only have like a few hours Monday morning to really figure it out. For me, yeah, I don't know if you're like this, the same way, Chris, but for me, I like closings either Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. So then that way you have a little bit of padding on either side. So if something does happen, it's not just
You
gonna,
can push it back
yeah,
easily.
yeah,
So that's actually a really good point. That's something I never really took consideration of, because
yeah,
usually if you close on Friday, that allows the buyers to be able to move in
on the
that
weekend,
weekend.
yeah,
Doesn't mean like if you close on a Wednesday, doesn't mean you still can't move in that weekend.
right.
Um, and what
I
you're
mean,
saying makes a lot of logical sense, and it's going to make me kind of reevaluate,
yeah,
recommending close dates on a Friday to
right.
possibly a Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah, and the reason I say that because a recent closing that I had, we were supposed to close on a Tuesday, and we had some issues that came up that we couldn't close, and it got pushed to Friday,
Mm,
which was fine. But we had that time, during the week to get everything worked out, and by Friday we were good to go and we closed. But like I said, if something happens, and here's the thing, we had to push it to close, but then there was some issues with transferring the money and getting everything finalized for the closing on Friday, and we got a phone call at like 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the afternoon saying, "Hey, we haven't gotten a transfer from the bank to to the title company to the escrow to
mhm.
close on this house." And we're like, "Well, what are you talking about? We're just now here." And like we did everything we were supposed to do, so we were running to the bank at like 3:30, 3:45 in the afternoon on a Friday. And, sometimes that money is not going to go out as quick as you want it to. Luckily
Yeah.
we got lucky and it went out and everything closed on Friday. But
Mhm.
if the bank said, "Hey, it's like 4 o'clock, we'll send it out, but it's not going to be there till Monday," even though it's a wire transfer, it still has
Yeah.
to go through certain gates.
Yeah.
And there was a small chance that it wasn't going to be there. So then the people buying the house, there was potential that they were gonna live in a hotel for that weekend because they couldn't move
That the
in.
wire didn't go through. And
Correct.
the one of the reasons why that, like, you think it's like so instant. In some cases, in some institutions, it is pretty instant that they
Yeah,
can do it on an individual level. But
right.
some institutions wire funds in terms of batches. So they wait until there's a threshold of wires. So say instead of a one randomly here and there, they what they'll do is they'll hold them until there's enough of like say like 500 wires,
Yeah.
and they'll send it as a batch, whether it be like discounted. I don't really know the specific reasons why they do this, but I definitely know that some institutions send them as a batch. And what they're doing, and what happens is that when they hit that gate, which is also known as the Federal Reserve,
Yep.
that verifies all this stuff and checks each wire for any red flags, then they kind of like a funnel, right? It's like a funnel. Like
Right.
you have to go through one at a time, right? It's not
Yep.
something that just scan the. It's
Right.
just like going through like an assembly, like a barcode at a grocery store. It's one at a freaking time.
Yeah.
So it kind of slows things down, and it's not always as instant as you think. It takes.
That's why we're
sometimes
that's
a
why we're
couple
gonna
hours.
start buying houses with cryptocurrency. Maybe, I don't know. Is that gonna
That's a whole
happen?
other thing,
Oh,
man.
I know, but
People
I
buying stuff through crypto. That's
but that's
happening.
that's
It's starting to
instantaneous
happen.
now. I mean, that's like as soon as you hit send, it's in the other person's account, and that's it, right? So I don't know. I think we're gonna be there one day, but yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
Well,
We won't.
Meta is trying to take over. Like
I
everyone's going to
know,
be living like Ready Player One.
right?
Who would have thought like that movie, like nearly what 5-6 years ago, would have been really close to reality right now. It's
Right.
definitely happening.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And actually, they're making a second one. I heard they're making a second one.
Are they really?
I haven't even seen the first one, but I definitely understand the premise of it. It's like we're slowly entering the Matrix.
Yeah, Ready Player One. Yeah, it's a pretty cool pretty cool movie. If you're into that kind of thing, I mean, it's sort of
dystopian
sci-fi a
world.
little bit,
That's
gaming
dystopian.
world, and yeah.
Yeah, very
So,
dystopian. I think it's pretty cool.
Yep.
Let's see here. What else? Like, what are some
So
other
yeah,
big things?
so transferring utilities, and we talked about doing your change of address, changing all your subscription stuff to your new address. Um, there's I want to talk about Homestead, but let's come back to that one because there's
You sure?
should we talk about that one now, you think?
Yeah, I mean, you just brought it up.
So Homestead, if you're not familiar with what Homestead is, basically you file for Homestead on your new house, and you're going to get some sort of tax exemption on your property tax. So, and it's up to like $50,000 off of your assessed value, but it's not exactly 50,000. It's like
It's
it's
25
off of the first
per
50,000.
100, or yeah,
Yeah,
and then
with a
50,000 off. Like I think the second 100.
yeah, but it's for us. It's I think for most it's like a max of 50,000 off the
Yeah,
assessed
because a
value.
lot of us don't have additional exemptions, such as like if you're a widower or a widow,
Right.
you can get
Right.
exemption. If you are a veteran, you can
Right.
get additional exemption.
Right.
And then there's other special circumstances. It really depends on your county, and that's
Yep.
really what it is. Florida's a homestead county,
Right.
homestead state.
Yep.
So it's, and every single county is slightly different, but by and large, they all kind of fall under the same umbrellas in terms of requirements and then exemption statuses. That way, no one is what's the word I'm looking for? Discriminating on another group. Well, this county in our own state does it. Why aren't this county do that? So they usually all have like the same type of homestead. And in fact, Jerry went ahead and is putting down a couple of links so you can kind of explore. But it's very, very simple. A lot of counties used to, before the days of electronic, people had to go down in person to fill out the homestead exemption. It can eat up an entire day. But nowadays, counties such as Seminole, Orange County, I think Volusia County, and a couple other ones, they can all do it electronically. And it's super simple. You just need your deed, your ID, closing statement, and a couple other items, and then you can just file instantly. And so it's a huge benefit. It keeps your taxes from raising unrealistically or crazily every single year, because it can change and increase every single year that you don't. And when that happens, is that you could be impacted on your mortgage payment, because part of your mortgage payment is your principal and your interest, and then your taxes and your insurance. Two variables that can make your payment go up or down is your taxes and your insurance. your mortgage payment, your principal and interest stays the same.
Yep.
So if you do not file for homestead and your taxes are say $1,200 and you wait a whole year, your taxes will go up, and it's not going to go up in a very small amount. It's going to go up a lot, and your payment, you're going to get hit with a bill at the end of the year, knowing that your taxes, that your tax account is short, your escrow account, excuse me, is short,
Yep.
and then now your monthly payment's going to increase because not only are you going to have to pay that difference of an increase, but you're also going to have to pay back the mortgage company that just paid that in full
Right.
for you.
Yes.
So that's exactly what happened to us.
Oh,
That's happened.
man.
That's what happened to a friend of mine, where his
Yep.
taxes, because the home wasn't sold for like 30 years, so the taxes were like under $1,000 a year. And then after 30 years, he didn't file for homestead. It increased by like over $2,000. So his escrow was short by like over $2,000 that he had to pay out of pocket to
Dang
get that
it.
out. And it hurts. It hurts if you don't do it. So that's why it's so important that
Yes.
as soon as you close on a home,
Yep.
one of your first things you do is you change the locks on your door, and
Yep.
then when you get your deed back from the title company,
Yes.
file for homestead.
File
For
for
the
that
love of
homestead.
God, file for homestead.
Don't let it go. I hope he's watching tonight. I've got one friend of mine that has not done it, and I've talked to him several times. I'm like, dude, did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it? No, no, no. I keep, just, you can do it online. It's most counties you can do it online. You go, I just posted on the chat the link for homestead exemption for Volusia County, Seminole County, and Orange County. Most of the people I know, that's kind of where they live. If you're outside of that, shoot me a message and I'll find the link for your specific county. But go to that link. There's a button on there somewhere that says, "Hey, file it online." You fill out the form, you submit whatever documents.
Yeah.
Just do it. It'll take you all of like 20-30 minutes to fill out the documentation, if even that.
Mhm.
You may have to print something out. Sometimes you gotta. Do you have to get something notarized? Sometimes,
Sometimes it depends on the municipality.
yeah. So it depends on the county. Sometimes you got to get something notarized, but a lot of it you can
Mhm.
do online. You print something out, you go get it notarized, and you drop it off at the office, and then it's done. It has to be turned in by March 1st for most counties. Check, your specific county, but for most of them, it's a March 1st deadline. So, but you do it for March 1st. So, well, this year it's already passed, but if you do it by March 1st, 2023, does that, let's see, is that going to get you is that going to get you exempt for 2023, or is it going to happen the next year? I can't
So
remember.
it won't happen for that year. So if you
Okay.
bought
So
a
it's,
home say
it's going
like
to be
January 3rd of this year,
yeah.
you can file for homestead before like the 1st or the 31st of March, but the homestead won't take place until the following year, 2024. And at those end of year taxes.
Right.
That's just the way they do things, unfortunately. So by the time that year. So if you bought this year and you weren't able to file for homestead, chances are your taxes will be reassessed a little
Yep.
bit.
Yeah. They're going to be
Um,
reassessed every year.
they'll be reassessed. I think the cap is, we were kind of going back and forth on this, that we believe is 3% a year
Yeah.
roughly.
Yeah.
And then if it's homesteaded, then it doesn't go up 3%. It's usually stays the same from my
Well,
experience, what I've been noticing.
yeah, well, so and it depends on what county. So I think with the homestead, your cap is 3%. Without it, they could raise it slightly more from what I read. But again, it's going to vary county to county what the
Yeah.
cap and how they raise it. Mine, just because, I mean, I'm sure everybody's property assessed value has been increasing over the past couple of years, just because values of homes have been increasing, inflation's been
Yeah.
going up like crazy. So yeah, it's your assessed value has gone up, but there
Mhm.
is a maximum of value of,
Yeah, because they can't just arbitrarily do that across the
right.
board.
So let's
Like
say,
there's limitations.
if your home's assessed value is $100,000 and the cap is 3%, the most they could raise the value is $3,000. So the most your
Yeah.
next tax, your taxable assessed value could be as $103,000, and then it keeps stepping up from there.
Yeah, because wasn't like before the pandemic, the average appreciation was about 3% a year, so
Something
that's where
like
it
that.
kind of came
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So like obviously because of the pandemic, values of properties went up exponentially.
Mm-hmm.
So when that happens, and you do get hit with a very large increase of assessment, because
Yep.
if that house you bought wasn't sold like for like 30 years, it's catching up worth of 30 years worth of assessments, and it's now
Oh yeah.
jumping from what it was 30 years ago in terms of value to what every home in your area has been selling recently in value.
Yes.
So but you consecutively after that, your taxes are being assessed at a very nominal
Yep.
amount,
Yep.
but you have to file for homestead.
Yeah.
You
So
have
yeah, the whole key to that is just file for the homestead. If you don't know how, if you can't figure it out, reach out to somebody. Just get it done, because, like I said, it's going to save you a decent amount of money on
yeah.
your property taxes every year. So
Mm-hmm.
the other thing, and I didn't write this in the notes, Chris, but if you have property, or you have um uh if you're planning on having farm animals or doing something like that that has to
Ooh,
do with ag,
agricultural exemptions.
get your ag exemption. I actually have an ag exemption where I'm at. So we have
You,
goats and we have some chickens. Our
yeah.
ag exemption is for the goats, but right now we initially started off with what do we have? 6 goats, I think. And they gave
Then you
us
had
they
a
gave us
baby.
1 acre of ag exemption. So basically what happens is there's an assessed value for like my house, and then they have the remaining, they have an assessed value per acre of the rest of the property. And so what they do is they give me 1 acre of ag exemption. So they remove 1 acre, whatever the cost of 1 acre is. I could look it up online, but
Mm-hmm.
it would be on the county appraiser website.
And that's pretty
So
cool. Do you
let's
get any subsidies?
What's that?
Do you get any subsidies?
What do you mean?
Like usually when you have agriculture, that you can actually get subsidized from the government.
Okay, no, I haven't looked into that. I don't
You
know.
should. You
I
should,
should.
especially if like you're agricultural and you're doing it to harvest something.
Uh-huh.
Then you can actually get not only agricultural exemption, but you can also get subsidies from the government.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll have to look into that.
Yes, because you're therefore you're being paid. But I
True.
think
True.
I think you have to. I don't think you can just have farm just because. I think you actually have to do something with
Yep.
it.
Yep.
Whether
And
it
a
be
lot
like
of
goat's milk, since you have like 7 goats now,
right.
or
Right.
something else.
Yep. So with the ag exemption, so they've really started cracking down on it. Is Volusia County was actually, they were kind of the last ones to get, start really cracking down on things, but they have now. Other counties, started really analyzing the people that had ag exemptions to make sure that it's actually legit, because there was a point in time where people would file for an ag exemption based on some lease that they had, and it's like, hey, I have a lease with this random farmer that's going to put cows on my property, and then they never put cows on the property. There was never an intent to put cows. They just wrote a
Mhm.
lease, charge, and they said it was like, oh, it's $100 lease, he can use my land whenever he wants, and then that never happened. So the county is actually starting to crack down on people that were doing that. So you actually have to have some sort of legitimate farm, business, or doing something to that matter. Um, but so I got the one acre of exemption right now. But then now that we just had the baby goat, and we've got the 2 males. We're actually going to possibly get a couple more goats tomorrow.
Nice.
And yeah, so we're kind of expanding. So I've already called the ag office and said, hey, we're kind of expanding. We're starting to breed a little bit more. We're doing some stuff with the goats. Can I get some more ag exemption? Can you give me
Mhm.
some more? So they're going to come out, since this year is already gone. They've already done the assessments. They've already done everything. They're
Just
going to
wait for
send
the following
somebody
year.
out by, she said, probably about March. So basically what they do is they send somebody out. Since I've already got the exemption, they just send somebody out to verify that, yes, okay, he does indeed have 2 bucks on the property. He's got females. He's got a baby goat. He's got, what he says. they have. So it does look like he could, we'll give him a couple more acres, which is good because that's going to save me on some more property tax. But if the whole point is, if you're buying, property, you have to, this is not like Homestead. You have to get this filled out and submitted. And I think you actually have to go down to the office. You have to fill out a form. You have to go down to the county office or, whatever, the ag office, and you submit it to them, but you have to do it. The deadline is January 1st. So if you want to get the exemption for the upcoming year, so for 2023, the deadline is January 1st. It's not March 1st. It's not, oh, I forgot. It's
because it's a different type of exemption.
Correct.
Like homestead and agricultural exemptions, entirely separate things.
It's totally
the rules
different.
are going to be different a lot. And
and here's the thing: you have to, you can buy, you can have like a receipt, like you were going to buy some goats. So this is kind of what we did is we went ahead and purchased some goats, but we weren't going to pick them up until like January 5th. But as long as you have a receipt saying that, hey, I purchased these goats in 2021 or 2022, right at the end of the year, then when I submit it, I show them the receipt that I purchased goats in 2021. I'm just not picking them up until, the following year.
Or
sometime.
Delivery date. Yeah. I mean, which makes complete sense. Like, I own goats. There they are. They're just on their way. I can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
We got shipping delays.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
our supply chain is a mess right now. Come on, give me a break.
Yeah.
Give me the
didn't get ours shipped to us, but yeah. So it was, for me, it was kind of it was a big learning curve because I'd never done it before, and I'm happy to talk to anybody that's in that same situation. If you want to give me a call or send me an email or something, it was a bit of a learning curve trying to figure out, okay, well, what qualifies as, to get the ag exemption. It's not just goats and farm animals. You can do crops, you can do bees, you can do, heck, you could have a worm farm or something, but it's got to be, you've got to show some sort of, like it's got to be substantial. It's got to, benefit. You've got to try to make money from it, essentially. It can't just be like a hobbyist kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So I'm with you on that one, and that's our ag history for today, our ag lesson. And so moving on to the next item in terms of for buyers is that you have to be aware of spam.
Oh my goodness!
Once you own a home, there are literally predators who just go through records, county records, because as a homeowner, you are public record. And so once you become public record, they will spam the absolute hell out of you via mail. I've gotten stuff saying, welcome to the neighborhood, call us for a free Amazon gift card. But the more important stuff is the one saying that your loan has been sold. You must now pay PO box such and such, or log onto this website to pay for the mortgage, and all of that is spam. That is spam. Some of these spammers are really good, and they spend a lot of money in making their letters look extremely authentic. And and when it's public record, they also see that you're they also see the loan, who's servicing the loan, and they'll say like attention, say Flagstar or Wells Fargo, sold your loan to 123 loan operator, and which is a fake account. And so, and if you're paying them, you're not paying the real mortgage, and therefore you're going to get letters of default and possible foreclosure. If you get something that looks scary real, you need to contact your realtor, or instead contact the lender. Don't ever, 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 ever contact any phone number that's on any piece of mail that you get. Just go online, contact your loan servicer, whether it be Wells Fargo, Bank of America, it doesn't matter. Go online, call them, and just ask the simple question: did you sell my loan? And if so, to who?
Right.
And therefore they will verify, oh, we sold your loan to um, to Bank of America. Okay, great. Now I know to look out for a letter from Bank of America. Because if you don't, it's going to end up being nightmarish to you. Another simple thing in terms of spam is paying for your deed. You do not have to pay for a copy of your deed.
Oh my
You can
goodness.
literally
Yeah.
go online and print it. That's all that they're doing.
Yeah. They're
$10 and
just
we'll send you a copy of your deed, or
yeah.
$100 we'll send you a copy of your deed, like a
In a frame.
certified copy of your
Right.
deed.
I'll put it in the
I
frame
can
for
go
100 bucks.
to Yeah, exactly. I can literally go online and print anyone's deed.
Yep.
It's public record.
It is.
Again, it's
It is.
anyone's deed, and you
Yep.
can do that too. So your deed is coming back to you for free, notarized and documented and authorized and recorded from the county. It'll go to the title company. The title company will send it to you, as well as your owner's policy.
Yep.
You want to collect those things and put them in a safe spot. And
Yes.
don't ever pull them back out unless you need to.
Right.
But you should never ever have to pay for your deed. If you think your loan has been sold but you're not sure, just contact your loan servicer. Same thing with insurance. You'll get stuff saying that like your escrow is short. Contact your loan servicer. Don't pay money for anything to anyone.
Right.
It's maddening how much spam you'll get in the first year or even
Oh,
the
I
first.
know.
It's
Yeah,
insane.
I constantly got just the biggest, the most, and I still get them to this day. Is what you're talking about? Is I get those letters, and it looks like it's from it'll say the name of my bank,
Mhm.
on somewhere on there, but if you really look at it, somewhere in there it'll say this is an advertisement or this is a they'll sometimes they'll put on there, but it's
Yeah, I
still
got fine print because they have to abide by some like laws that like
correct,
it'll say like an asterisk. We are
correct.
not affiliated with such and such. This is
Correct.
just an
Correct, yeah.
advertisement.
But I get them all the time,
Yep.
with some sort of amazing, interest rate, "Hey, here,
Oh
you're
yeah.
pre-approved for this, this
Yep.
new loan or home line of credit,"
Yeah.
or
Or
whatever.
refinance. I still get those
Yes.
refinance, and
Yeah,
they'll tell you your interest rate is this. I'm just
yeah.
like, no, it's not.
Yeah, just don't if you're put it this way, if you're not shopping for it, there's no reason you should even open and look at it. I mean, just if you're shopping for it, then you're going to get it. But if you're shopping for it, you already know what you're looking at anyways, because you've been on the websites, you've talked to people, and people don't do business by mail. They only send you advertisements by mail. Nobody's going to send you, if you're in the middle of trying to close on a loan, they're not going to just randomly send you a letter in the mail saying, "Hey, we can get you, blah, blah, blah." No, no, no. I've already talked to people that are going to get me the interest rate that I need. So leave me alone. Stop sending me stuff.
Yep.
But it's gonna happen. And you're gonna get
You will.
so much junk mail.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
So beware of spam.
yep,
That's just
D-
for
and not just
if
not
anyone's asking you for any pennies, no,
yeah,
just
not
no,
and not
absolutely
just
not, none.
not just mail, but phone calls, emails,
Text
text messages. I
messages.
get, whatever it is. But if,
Yep.
like I said, if I'm not looking for it, if you're trying to, at that point, you're sending me, you're trying to sell me something, and I'm not interested. So
Yep.
I just, block, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Stop calling me.
And
Or if you're bored, answer the phone and have some
mess with
fun
them.
with them.
Mess with them.
Yeah,
You
that's
do
always
that.
fun too.
Yep.
It's
So
always fun too.
another thing that I like to point out for buyers, because I've gotten some calls from buyers within like a month or so, or even 2 months, saying that, yo, my AC froze up. Like, what can we do? And I was like, well, the first thing I would say is, contact the AC guy, get it serviced. Well, shouldn't the seller have known like this was a bad AC? And she's like, well, let's think about this. The sellers have been living in that house from anywhere from 3 to 10 plus years.
Yep.
When they move all of their stuff, dust goes flying. Doors are open,
Oh yeah.
and dust is coming in. That AC is working overtime.
Yeah.
And when you're moving in, dust is flying. Boxes create a lot of dust. You're taking stuff out of your boxes, you're setting it up. that your doors are open, bringing more in pollen and stuff like that from the outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
Your AC is taking an absolute beating during
Right.
a sale or in a purchase of a property.
Especially during the
So
summer months.
especially during the summer months
Yeah.
and fall season stuff and
Yep.
stuff like that. Spring, oh my God,
Yeah.
spring is the worst. Um, and so you have to, once you're settled into a house, I highly recommend that you get it serviced. Even I've seen new ACs freeze up just because of the dust that gets up into it. Well, that's
Right.
why I have a filter. Again, it doesn't collect everything. So getting the service, getting the coils clean, and then just changing out the filter on a regular basis, you want to make sure that AC is still alive and kicking and not freezing up on you within the first 2 months of owning the property.
Right. Right.
I didn't really catch on to that trend until about a year ago. So every time a buyer closes on a home, I tell them you want to go ahead and get this AC serviced immediately. And
Mm-hmm.
then what I also recommend is that you put on a 6 month schedule to have it serviced every 6 months before going into the summer and before going into the winter. I always have them 6 months booked ahead. That way, they actually contact me. Hey, you're due for your service tomorrow. What's a good time? And I'm just like, oh, I'm so glad you called because I completely forgot about that. Come tomorrow at like 2 o'clock. Boom, it's already on the schedule. It's on the books, and your AC is getting the service that it needs. Because my AC system is 2017, right? So it's still fairly new.
Right.
But because I had someone call this last time, he said, "Hey, you're having a little issue here with this component. It only costs you about $50 to replace that. Do you want to do that?" I'm like, absolutely, thank you, because that problem could have turned into a bigger problem. Could have turned into a bigger problem.
Right. Right.
So, I recommend a 6 month schedule, and then put it on your calendar for a reminder to change your air filter every single month. Especially if you have pets. I have 2 dogs that shed like crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm always changing out that air filter. I'm always draining the line. And every 6 months, it's actually coming due here pretty soon for the guy to come out just before it starts getting colder and the heat needs to be turned on.
Yeah.
So, as a tip for buyers and just homeowners in general, you need to make sure your AC is well maintained.
Yeah. Yeah. Get that initial. So, I mean, you can have somebody come out and check your AC out for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen them as cheap as like $20. Now, a lot of times when they're that cheap, they're really wanting to. They're hoping they can sell you on some stuff.
Yeah,
They're gonna
my guy 50 to 150.
Right. I'm just saying, like some of the cheaper ones, they're coming there, and they're probably there may or may not be something wrong with it, but if there's any little bit of thing wrong with it, they're gonna say, hey, you really need a new capacitor, you really need, this or that, even though it might be fine for the next year or so, or a couple of years or
Yeah.
whatever, but they're gonna try to upsell you. But your typical AC inspection is probably gonna be somewhere, or your AC like maintenance, your yearly maintenance is somewhere around $70. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I've seen.
I would say so, but I pay my guy like 150, like just because it needs it, and there's always like something going on, but like
Right.
it's worth it. It's 100% worth it. It's just like cool. I get to go 6 months, and then pay like someone 150 bucks to just make sure it's working good. Excellent.
Yep.
And
Yep.
one of our people that are watching right now, William, saying AC drain is always a big issue with our rentals.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's 100% accurate because people don't know to keep those drain lines every single month. When I change the filter, I do a drain line. Some
Yeah.
people use like a little bit of bleach. I
Yep.
use white vinegar
Yep.
with hot water,
Yep.
like right shortly after that, and it just keeps that
It
line
cures that.
clean.
Yeah.
Because if that backs up, because of the algae just closes up like a clogged artery,
Yep. It's
and then it backs up into the system. The system's overworking, and it can't
right.
flush the fluid that
Yeah.
that it produces, and
Well,
it's
and then
locked up.
that fluid
You're
goes.
screwed.
It's that fluid then starts, and it's not fluid. It's the condensation that's coming
Yeah,
out of the AC, and it starts backing up, and then it overflows. If you don't, most ACs now should
you know,
have a
float switch.
little a little safety switch that when that water backs up, it hits that little safety switch, and then it'll automatically just shut your AC off.
Yeah,
And
it's a float switch. And
yeah, it
what's cool? it just hangs there, like
Yep.
what he was saying, and then when the water raises it up high enough, it
Yep.
disables the
Yep.
AC.
Yeah, and it won't turn on anymore. And then at that point, the first thing to check is go, clean out that line
Yeah,
because
go check out that line, go flush it out, take
it's
a snake
probably
down in there and flush it down, and um, and then just check the breaker and make sure it turns on and off again,
yep. And
and then
that's
it should work.
Monica. That's true. They do fail a lot, but then that's one of those routine maintenance things that Chris was talking about. Is he goes in there and when you change your air filter or like every other month or something like that, check out that switch. Usually you can just kind of pull them out and then you'll have your AC on. You can push it up, push that little float switch up, and
And it
then
should go.
the AC will turn off. So it's something that you can check out. If it's bad, then have somebody come out and replace it. Unless you know
Yep.
how to do it yourself, and replace it yourself.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's one of those things that you could just add. Every time you go to replace your air filter, whether it's 1 month or 2 months or whatever it is, check that little switch.
Yep, you need
So
to, and you got to, and you're gonna want to. You like it's just part of necessary. Like you don't just drive your car into the ground. You do the oil change. You rotate your tires. You check your brakes. You fill the windshield wiper. You check your fluids. Those are all routine things when it reaches a
yeah,
certain mileage. Your
yeah,
AC is no different, especially in the heat of the summer. Like that thing is running non-stop.
oh yeah,
So it's
yeah.
putting miles on it. And the
Yep.
moment you start neglecting is the moment shit will fail. And next thing you're looking at a $10,000+ fix.
Oh yeah,
All
easily.
right.
Yep.
So I've seen well-maintained ACs, beautifully well-maintained ACs that are over 20 years old,
Yep.
kicking great because the owners maintained it.
Mhm.
That's just like there's like great classic cars out there that just because they maintained it, it's running forever. Toyotas are a great brand.
Yeah.
Toyotas are an amazing brand.
Yep. And
Um,
Monica, what you're saying is true. Sometimes you gotta ask them to check it.
yep.
Yeah, just it depends on the company. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. But yeah,
Yeah, you're not wrong, Monica. Like they don't automatically do it. It's free.
right.
Um, here's like her statement here. They don't automatically do it. It's free when they service your HVAC, but most don't check it unless the homeowner asks. You're not
Yeah.
wrong, Monica. Great stuff.
Yep. Yep.
And then Will here, he learned the hard way. Unfortunately, flooded the living room, destroyed the floors.
Yikes. Dang.
Damn.
That
See,
hurts.
that
That
hurts a
hurts.
lot.
So the moral of the story is, yeah, get your, if it's even if it's a new system, because you don't know how hard the previous owners have been
Yep.
running that AC or what kind of care that they've done. And I've done deals where the AC was even an older unit, and I've told the sellers, I was like, hey, this thing is old. You guys need to get a service, like pay the $70, get a service, and show me that the service was done before we
Yep.
go through with closing. We've done that before.
Mhm.
It's an easy thing, and it's sort of an assurance that okay, yes, it was service. It is old, but everything is working. The coils are good. The evaporator, all that stuff, the condenser, the capacitors, blah blah blah, all
Yeah.
that stuff is good. It's not just gonna, as soon as you sign the papers, it's not just gonna
Mhm.
break. Now
Yeah.
you say that, but just like anything mechanical, of course,
Yeah. Brand new cars break right off the lot all
yeah.
the time. So
I mean, I hear that all the time, especially about cars. It's like, well, it was just working fine yesterday, and then all of a sudden today it didn't start. It's like, well, that's mechanics. That's how things
yep.
work. They work and then they don't.
Yep.
You
So
know.
one last thing for the AC, and then we'll wrap it up and
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
go
yeah.
into the next subject here. If you're concerned as a buyer, if you're concerned, or even as a seller, if you're concerned that the age of your AC, because they say the life expectancy of an AC is about 10, 12 years in the state of Florida. If you're concerned of the age of the AC, and even if you maintained it and if you're and everything, ask for a home warranty. Ask for a warranty on the AC system. That way you're covered. That way if something goes wrong with the next couple of months, because you just as a buyer, you just dropped thousands of dollars on a down payment, thousands of dollars on closing costs. Um, so like you're not gonna have another 10 grand to replace the AC.
Right.
So as for a warranty,
Hmm.
get a warranty. It's going to cost the buyer or the seller, a combination of the two, a couple $100. And
Yep.
then if something should happen, then at least you're covered under that warranty to get a
Yep.
replacement or to get at least fixed.
Yep. Yep.
You
Yeah,
can do that.
it's an easy thing. Yeah,
It
they're
really
usually
is.
like 400 to anywhere from 400 to like 800 or
700.
something, depending on,
Yeah.
if you get like pull
The level,
pumps and,
the
extra
levels.
stuff.
Yeah.
So, but
So,
yeah, it's definitely a good thing to have,
yep.
especially
A
if you
home
have
warranty.
older and used and appliances that, you're just not sure how much longer they're gonna last. Like for me, our house is brand new. Like all our appliances were new, our AC was brand new. I didn't have to get, I didn't. Well, I mean, I could have, but the
You didn't
appliance.
get warranties on your appliances?
No, well, we had the manufacturer warranties on it. I don't have one right now,
Those are like
but
only 1 year.
what's that?
Those are usually only like 1 year.
Yeah, but then the credit card I bought, I have a credit card that what it actually extends. It gives me an additional year to the whatever warranty. So whenever I buy something with a particular credit card, so like,
Oh,
well,
so
for
they
example,
cover it.
so then they will cover it. So for example, my
What credit card
uh
is that?
my microwave, it went out. At one time it was covered under, it was covered under the manufacturer warranty, and then it went out again, and then it was, it was outside of the manufacturer warranty, but the credit card warranty covered whatever, and it was like a couple
Who,
hundred
who
bucks worth of.
what's the brand?
The credit card I have is
No, no,
it's
no,
the
no, no. The brand of the
oh, it's GE. It was the GE
GE. Our
profile.
LG microwave went out within a month.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Oh yeah.
there was a defect. Like
Ah.
like every time you hear that hum, it's a fan blade
Yeah.
that makes that hum because it
Yeah.
keeps the magnetron cold or
Right.
cool.
Cool. Yeah.
But there was a defect in one of the fan blades, and the magnetron just essentially just got too hot and
Ah.
it went out within a month.
Dang.
And so we
Ouch.
had the guy because it was on the manufacturer's 1 year warranty. We opened it up. He's like, "What the hell?" It's like the fan blade was just completely like melted, and we think that there was a defect in the fan blade because it's right over the magnetron, the thing that makes it that does all the work in terms of heating. And
Yeah.
so we think that it just never spun to keep it
Yeah.
cool, and the heat just
Melted.
melted the fan blade,
Dang.
and it was like just kind of
That's
crazy to
dangerous.
see. And but we got it replaced,
Yeah.
the manufacturer's warranty. But I actually got a letter in the mail for extended warranties.
Yeah, I
And
get those all the time.
I'm honestly gonna do it because this is gonna be our house, forever. So
Yeah.
if our $6,000 worth of set appliances start going out of whack, that's like that's another grand or two. I'd rather
Yeah.
pay like $200-300 for them to come out and fix it or replace it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Makes sense
Yeah, I
to
mean,
me.
maybe next year or maybe the year after. I mean, our appliances are still, in pretty good shape, and they work, fine.
Mhm.
So maybe, next year or the year after, I might look into start looking into getting a home warranty just to
Mhm.
cover, because now, at that point the appliances will be 4 years old, 5 years old, something like that.
And
And so,
if you're a landlord, you should absolutely be having warranties.
oh yeah.
If
Yep.
you're a landlord, you're smart to have warranties.
Yeah.
That is a cost that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. Let's jump into the next one. So,
Safety equipment?
well, I wanted to point out real quick so when you buy a house, you're gonna have your homeowner's insurance. Um, you still need to send them your proof of purchase. So, whether it's the deed to the house or whatever, you still got to send that to the the insurance agent or the insurance company or whatever it is. They have to see that you actually closed on the house, because everything is sort of hypothetical. And then you're like, hey, we're supposed to close on, the 25th. And then, you go and close on the 25th, and they're like, did you close? I don't
Yeah.
know. I need to see proof that you actually bought the house so I can finish underwriting or finish, finish all the documents and get it binded to
Mhm.
the house. So you do have to do that. So don't forget about that. And talking about that, when you do close, you are going to get, we talked about spam, but you are going to get legit emails from your insurance agent, from your
Mhm.
actual uh, um, mortgage company
Motor.
or your mortgage broker or whoever.
Your
You're gonna
service,
get
loan servicer is the
loan
correct thing.
servicer. Yeah, you're gonna get legit emails and legit phone calls. So when you do get
Usually
them,
they don't do calls though. Usually they don't.
yeah,
They don't do
usually
calls.
it's an
It's
email.
usually a snail mail or an
Yeah.
email.
Yeah. So you are going to get those things, but just make sure you look out for them. You have to, and if you're unsure, call, your mortgage broker or whoever you went through to get the loan and just say, hey,
Verify.
I don't know, is this legit? And they'll tell you, yes, it's fine, or no, 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 don't do that one.
Yeah, 100%.
We sent it to, XYZ, company or whatever. Um,
Mhm.
but you have to look out for those kind of things, aside from, yes, you are going to get a ton of spam, kind of going back to that one. But so aside from that, yeah, make sure you send out the proper documents to finish closing out, like getting your homeowner's insurance and making sure that, you're getting set up on your payments, for your mortgage or whatever the case is. So
Mhm.
I just wanted to touch on that one before we went on to
Yeah.
safety equipment. So safety equipment, I this is one of the things that, I mean, even I overlooked a lot of times when, before I got into real estate and things, the safety equipment, just um fire detectors or your fire alarms, your carbon monoxide detectors. I mean, I mean, is that something you probably think about it, Chris? But I'm pretty sure that a lot of people don't. I would imagine, they move into the house and they're like, I don't know, and
A lot of
maybe
people don't think about that,
yeah,
but it's huge, and it's also really good to have those things because it also reduces risk, and
yeah,
therefore your insurance company gives you guys discounts.
correct.
You'd be surprised, like if you had sprinkler system installed in your house, what a
Mhm.
massive discount that your insurance would give. They're gonna be like, "You have a sprinkler system installed in your house?" And you're like, "Yeah, I do. Here's the proof. Here's the looks. Here's the photos." And you're gonna be like, "Holy shit! Give this guy a good discount."
Yeah.
Like they're gonna be all about it. But so like,
Yeah,
what if you can't afford that, which makes complete sense to me,
I
is
could
that
just go down to Home Depot and just buy a sprinkler, right? And just
and
put it in
right.
my house and hook it up to the hose. Yeah. Hey, there's a fire. Yeah. Wouldn't
Just
that
spit
work?
on it.
Exactly.
But in reality, like having fire extinguishers in the house,
Do you
having
have
smoke
fire
detectors.
extinguishers?
No, I need to. I need to
What?
get a fire extinguisher. I need to get a fire extinguisher.
Yeah. I've got
Uh,
two.
you do?
I've
Nice.
got two.
Well,
I've got
you
one
need
under
a
the
home.
kitchen
I have a
sink.
block home.
Oh, well, but hey, man, you can still have a fire in a block home. Still, and look,
Sorry, you
if
have a
it
manufactured home. They stopped calling manual mobile homes after 72
76,
or 74.
76.
76, thank you.
Yeah, they
So
went
you
from
have
manufactured
manufactured.
or to
Excuse me.
from mobile home to manufactured home.
Yep.
But that's not what I'm in. Is that what you were saying? No. No, we have
Yeah.
a modular home. Huge, huge difference.
Explain.
That's for a whole nother show.
No. Explain.
No? All right, so
Explain.
the quick and
Everyone else
dirty.
is wondering this too.
No, no, are they? The quick
Uh,
and dirty. So a mobile home was basically anybody could build a mobile home back in the day. And it was sort of basically real thin walls. It was, they weren't using 2x4s, or there wasn't really a firm standard on what, a mobile home should be, or, there was some codes, but then in 76, they actually said, all right, here's the federal code. So there's a federal code. They call it a manufactured home now. There's a federal code that says it has to be built to these standards in order for us to stamp it as a manufactured home.
Yep, which is
Mod
it's more stable, more secure, more reliable.
right.
And so a modular home is
So a modular home, which is what I have, so it's built in a factory. It's built, sort of very similar and by the same companies that build manufactured homes, but a modular home is built the exact same specs, or the code to the same codes that a stick built house. Like if you were building a house, where they're bringing out 2x4s, 2x6s, big trusses, and all that kind of stuff, that's how a modular home is built. The only difference is a modular home is being built in a warehouse, in a factory, and then they ship it to the site, and then they snap it together like Legos, essentially.
so those big trucks that carry like half of a building,
Correct.
That's a modular home.
It could be. It could be a manufactured or a mobile home as well. It just depends on what they built it as.
Okay.
It
It's
depends.
all
So
about
like
the
my house,
material.
I have 2x4s, for
Uh-huh.
my, for my walls. I have some walls they're 2x6s, we got like 6 inches of space in the walls or whatever. Um so it's built to the same exact codes that as if I were to build a house directly, people
Like a
delivering,
wood frame home.
wood, yeah,
Okay.
or blocks or whatever.
What's your exterior walls made out of?
I have the hardy board on the outside. The whole outside is all hardy board.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well,
So
thank you, sir. I
yeah,
appreciate
we
that.
and the only reason I know this because we looked into it and I was like, well, I don't know if I really want, because I was not on board with a modular home, but because I was thinking it's like, well, it's like mobile home, manufactured home. They don't really hold value. They don't, they depreciate sometimes but yeah, it was totally different. I was like, oh, and that's the other thing with mobile manufactured. Those don't always go up and down with the market because a lot of times those depreciate, whereas a modular home is just like a regular home. So it's going to have the same value as any other stick built home or brick home or whatever. It's
That's
built because it's
incredibly
built to the
interesting.
same exact codes.
7 years in the business.
Yeah.
I just learned something.
There you go.
That's why I love this business. I
Yeah.
love this business.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Like
Yep.
there's always something to be learned.
Yep.
It's forever changing. It's always changing in a positive light too.
Yeah.
Building standards are always getting better.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah. The more you know.
The more you know. The finance guy once said, "Now you know."
Now you know.
So,
so yeah, but I have two fire extinguishers. I have one under the kitchen sink in case of a kitchen fire or whatever.
which makes the most sense.
Yep. And then I have one in the laundry room, maybe the dryer if it overheats or the dryer vent.
Well, that's the second thing that usually takes up the most energy, other than the I think the three things that take up the most energy, I could be wrong, is going to be the AC, the stove, and then the dryer.
Yeah, pretty much.
Those just need to kind of take up the most energy.
Yep.
And then obviously the electrical panel as
well. Yeah. And that's in the laundry room. That's where my
Yeah.
electrical panel is too. So if,
Mhm.
yeah, and
Whereas-
and I've got two big, they're about a good 1.5 feet tall or something. The one of them sits under the kitchen sink, and the other one's under the laundry room sink, and everybody in the house knows where they're at. So if I'm not home, they know if there's a fire, they go right there. I've showed them how to, you pull the little pin, you point it and pull it,
Right.
shoot it, kill the fire.
Sorry, I mean spray.
Right, spray it, we'll fire it, whatever.
Spray.
And then once you do that, then call 911 or whatever. But safety equipment,
like
yeah, exactly. But safety equipment, I mean, it's a lot of it's something that you don't really think about, especially fire extinguishers. I mean, most people, how often do you have a fire in your house? But how often would you wish you had a fire extinguisher if you had a fire in the house?
It's quite literally just like a firearm. You don't need it until you need one. Exactly. You're gonna wish you had one.
Exactly.
And when it comes to the kitchen, I would imagine you would want probably two of them, because there's different types of fires. If you cook a lot with grease, you can't spray water or a certain type of extinguisher on it, because it only exacerbates it. Like you need a specialty fluid when it comes to grease fires.
Yeah, and
have you ever seen those videos of just people they have a small grease fire and they take water out of panic and it goes.
Oh, that just spreads it around. It just spreads it around. So there are and we actually have some training that we do as pilots where we have to learn about the different classes of fire and then what kind of fire extinguishers. We have the halon, we have a water fire extinguisher, and there's one other. I'm blanking on it right now.
There's electrical fires, chemical fires, grease fires, and then a couple other gas fires and stuff like that. All of them have their different types of extinguishers. So
Yeah.
I think you're onto something there.
What?
And as like a landlord, again, you want that shit.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's a liability thing too for landlords. You
Huge.
want to have, and tell your tenants like, hey, there is a fire extinguisher here. Use it.
Yeah, 100%.
So
Smoke alarms are another thing. We don't have any. Actually, no, it's not true. We have one in the hallway, and that's it. It went off once, and I damn near like ripped the shit off the ceiling because
I know.
Mine
Mine always
annoying.
goes
There's
off.
no easy way to turn those damn things off. Like,
No,
oh,
mine
and
always goes off in the middle of the night when I'm trying to sleep, and it just freaks me out.
You know, one thing too is that whenever I go show a vacant home, there's always at least one goddamn smoke alarm going beep.
Yep.
Beep. This is the most annoying thing ever.
Yep.
but they are extremely vital. Having those things will be a good benefit for insurance companies. But those are some of the details that you have to kind of go out of your way to tell them that you have them. And same thing with like carbon monoxide detectors. I think there's even like one more detector. Radon gas is like really rare, but it happens.
Right.
I don't think there's a detector of that, but I think it's carbon monoxide and then just smoke detectors.
Yeah, sometimes you have
really important.
You can have gas leak detectors and stuff. Like if you have gas coming into the house, like natural gas or propane or something, you can have gas leak detectors just for in case there's a pilot light out or something. It's just constantly, or you left the stove on but it's not lit and there's gas coming out. That kind of stuff, so you don't blow yourself up in the meantime. So yeah, I mean, check all your safety equipment. It's definitely something that, if you don't do it on the first day, get unpacked or whatever. But it's definitely something that needs attention to make sure that the batteries are good. The if you have fire extinguishers, that those are good, they're full. You can buy refillable extinguishers. You can buy some that it's just a one-time use, and and you toss it after that. It's probably the best option, because if I'm using a fire extinguisher, then I'm not worried about refilling it. I'm just going to toss it out.
Yeah, and if you're not sure where to go or how to dispose of them, contact the local fire department.
Yeah,
or just go there and just knock on the door and be like, "Hey, I have a couple fire extinguishers. What is the proper procedure to dispose of these? How can I collect new ones?"
You just
they'll point you in the right direction. They'll happily point you in the right direction.
You just put your little fire extinguisher in a little baby basket and you leave it on the front doorstep
Oh
of
my God.
the firehouse. You knock on the door and you run away.
What is wrong with you, Jared? You just tuck it up. You put a little baby monitor next to it, and just have your baby cry next into the one at home. And open it up, and it's just like
it's like, what
a fire extinguisher from the 1980s.
Joke?
Oh my God, that's a joke.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. You have a really good note here, Jared, one good idea is to turn your home inspection report into a maintenance to-do list.
Yes. Yep.
As a buyer, that's an amazing one. Like,
it really is, because a lot of no home is freaking perfect. All right, none, not even new construction. I promise.
No.
There's always a honey-do list when it comes to that. And having an inspection report handy, like Jared, that's a really good one. And use that as like a little maintenance to-do list, because there's always cosmetic stuff that could be done.
Cosmetic 100%. Or just maybe there's a little bit of wood rot or something, that's going to be on there, and that's not something you got to get to right away, but it's on your list of things to do that eventually you need to take care of it.
Yeah, most common wood rot is the door frames that lead to outside, like say outside of a garage or outside the front door. The garage door itself frame. Did you know that they actually started making like a plastic material frames, door frames, and everything now?
Oh, do they?
They cost a little bit more, but man, they do not rot at all. And so I think in the future we're going to start seeing less wood and more of those like kind of a plastic material. That would be huge beneficial, because a lot of say decks and things like that used to be wood planks are
turning into those plastic planks. Have you been seeing those?
No.
Really? I've been seeing those, and like you touch it and you feel it, you're like, this shit ain't going anywhere. It's because usually when it comes to like your wood planks, depending on the material of the wood, if you don't get them pressurized or not, and like coated and everything protected, those lasted anywhere from like 5 to 10 years, and that's it. Whereas these plastic planks are becoming, they last a very long time, so you don't have to change those out for a very long time. And so kind of lost where I was kind of going with this. Oh yeah, you were talking about wood rot honey-do list. So let's go back to that.
Yes.
Side tangent over.
Yeah.
Jared's eyes are hurting.
No. I started choking on something. I was like, oh, I had to mute it so I could cough, but I don't know what hit me. But it hurt.
Was it your wife poisoning you?
She might be. I don't know. Man,
Just
I hope
took
not.
an hour and a half to get through you.
Yeah, right. But well, I think this is probably a good time to start wrapping it up, huh?
Before Jared croaks, there's one more thing that I've been getting calls on from buyers is
what's that?
After the close. Here's what a buyer can't do. All right. So sellers have to disclose all material facts that's not readily observable by the buyer. All right. It's called caveat emptor. Buyer beware. And so there are some elements that sellers just don't know will occur, or things that'll happen. And I've had buyers come back and say, Chris, XYZ is broken, and looks like it's been broken for a long time. Sellers should have known about this. Why didn't they say anything? Or like they should have told us. We need to go back to them and get them to fix this. Well, unfortunately, that'll never happen because the contract that inevitably you signed here in the state of Florida, which is the most common contract, is the as-is contract. You are purchasing that property in the current condition that you are buying it and that you saw it.
Yeah.
And that's it. So one thing that buyers need to really just come to terms with is that you cannot go back. And if you want to go back after them, it's going to have to be a civil matter, and you're going to go to the courts. Yes. All right. So it needs to be, and you have to prove it. You can't just say, well, according to this and this and this, they would have known about it.
Yep.
And the seller's going to be like, I've had no knowledge of that. And the judge's going to look at you and be like, can you prove that he knew about it and neglected to tell you that? And you're like, well, no, but it's obvious. Like,
yeah, the onus is going to fall on the buyer to prove
that the seller
knew about it.
So AKA like you need to have emails from like the agent to from the seller to the agent, or the seller to a neighbor. Like you need to like have that. You can't just come up with that stuff out of thin air. Right. So my last thing is that for buyers, what you can't do is that you cannot go back to sales repair. Sellers, if you're listening to this, do not take advantage of that. Be a decent human being, because karma's a bitch and it'll come back for you.
Yes, that's true.
That's my final words, and I'm sticking to it.
That's right.
Everyone raise your glass.
Oh, man.
Any final words?
It's time for bed.
Time for bed.
Oh, I've got a little.
Where's that world's smallest violin?
Yeah. Yeah. Make sure, whatever platform you're watching us on, to hit the like button, subscribe, and
tell your friends about me.
Tell your friends, and then I'm gonna read it right off of here. Listen to the audio only episode on Spotify, iHeart, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor.fm, and Facebook. Facebook actually has audio only.
They do.
Yes, they have audio. You can actually listen to podcasts through Facebook. So you open up the Facebook app, and you can only do it on mobile, but you go in there, and when you go, like if you go to our Facebook page, Whiskey with an Agent Facebook page, there should be a little link up there. You hit the podcast, and then you can hit play. It updates whenever I release a new episode. It updates. You can hit play, and you can actually turn your phone off You can turn your phone off. What'd you say?
Yep, the screen. I say we because you're like, whenever I release a new episode,
Well,
I'm just like,
yes.
motherfucker, it's a we.
Yeah, hey now.
White people.
But you can actually you can play it and then turn your phone off and keep listening. So it's actually pretty cool. But
That's actually no, I
Yeah.
noticed that. I discovered that on accident. I was
Yeah.
like, holy crap, it's still playing.
yeah, what's going on? But
Yeah.
however you listen to podcasts, I mean, you can check us out, the audio only version. If you don't have time to sit here and watch us live for an hour and 40 minutes, that's fine. I get it. No worries. But yeah, we encourage you to listen to the audio. Do it.
Cheers, Jared.
Cheers, man. Adios.
Hasta luego.
That's good stuff.
Yo, Buffalo Trace is a shit.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of it.
I like it.
Homestead Sherry cask, really good.
It's a 12-year, right?
This is a 12-year. I know it's not really bourbon, but I mean, Scotch is still in the family, in my opinion, and I'm sticking with it.